You know, it is not surprising that government communicators can no longer speak. And of course, I remember all of them, including my sister Larotu, speaking very, very highly and making all these very, unchecked statements and literally burying everybody else, especially voices of dissent. Look, you cannot expect traders or citizens on any day to carry all of your burdens, especially considering the vanity expenditures, the waste, the leakages, and the corruption that we have experienced. Look, this is a government that collateralized ESLA right up to 2035. They collateralized 10 billion of the GET fund. They have even collateralized, and we're expecting to collateralize on our meager royalties from the minerals that we mine. And of course, suddenly see how that has blown in our faces. We are even looking at people waiting for the e-levy to come and cure all our headaches. In any case, how did President Akufo-Addo become the politician that he is? It was through that Kumi Preko march against what? The introduction of VAT. Pick up an invoice today and look at the charges on that invoice. You pay a VAT of 12.5%. You pay 2.5% of the National Health Insurance Levy. Yeah. You pay 2.5% of GET fund. And then, of course, the COVID levy is 1%. Considering all the freebies this government received for COVID-19, should we genuinely even be asking taxpayers to pay 1%?
But that's a defense that, well, they are undertaking a number of developments, etc.
In any case, it's just like Honorable Blay. You can find a defense for any activity, any omissions. Most people who are dishonest, they lie, and they hide behind a certain justification. Even where there can be no justification. Look, this economy has totally collapsed. That 1.3 billion cocoa loan, syndicated loan, will go to naught. The 750 million we took from the Afri-Exim Bank, it went nowhere. In any case, today,
it was injected in August.
11.3 cedis. This shows that there's a certain cluelessness, there's a certain inertia. There is just no attempt even. And I think this is where the insensitivity comes into play. Look, Roland, we are going nowhere. From January to date, the inflation has been growing at a sporadic rate. We are looking at the highest in the history of this country. In any case, what are we talking about? Go to the banks today. Go and try to take your investment out, and you hear what they tell you. There are even attempts as we speak to take monies from people's pensions and from people's investments by way of government bonds that sensible citizens have invested in. On whose side is our government? Is it on the side of the citizen who is losing out every day, or on the side of the persons from whom they borrowed? Look, everybody cautioned against the levels of borrowing that this government was engaging in. What did we hear? You know, I think that people ought to demand answers, demand that President Akufo-Addo and Vice President Bawumia take responsibility, demand even that all the inconsistencies ought to be retracted and various apologies rendered to the persons they condemn the most for their dishonesty, for their insensitivity, for the lack even of candor in the way. Look, Bawumia is roaming around the northern regions, campaigning for what? The reason why he became popular in this country was the traffic holds a few years ago, that he was an economic waste kid. Since when did he become a statesman? His whole claim to fame was in the fact that the money was in the vaults of the Bank of Ghana, where he had worked before, that the exchange rate would be arrested, and that taxation was a lazy man's way of doing business. Who is calling Vice President Bawumia out on his dishonesty, on his inconsistencies? We even still give him interesting headlines. What are we seeking to achieve as a people? That we are looking to discriminate even in the nature of leadership that we have or what we want. What is the Ghana that all of us here want to see? Is it a Ghana that comes with a government that lies through its teeth daily? Look, they failed on every promise that was ever made. But I still hear editorials